Yeah, he was in Greenwood and Granada last night.
Hey, good morning, everybody. How is everybody today? Let's see here. Can you guys hear me? Got me and Hunter here this morning. Just woke up probably about an hour ago, maybe.
If that feels like I woke up a little sooner.
We overslept a little bit. We didn't probably fall asleep until probably about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. Can you guys hear me? Somebody comment and say that you guys can. Michael Graham, Mr. Peach, Mama G. Barely hear me. Turn your volume up, Mama G. All right, good deal. Good deal. Loud and clear. Good deal. Okay, guys. So we're gonna go ahead and hop into things real quick. I did want to make this. Normally this is members only. So if you do like what you're gonna see today, we do this. I try to do this every for every chase that we do. Just where we kind of take a look at things, break down models, let you guys know kind of what the setup is, and things like that. It's a little bit more, a little more. I try to educate as well a little bit, so that way when you're looking at radar or looking at a model or something like that, you can kind of depict what we're looking at as well. So if you do like that, make sure that you do become a member. That helps me out a ton. Like I said, all that goes to expenses, but this is one of the perks that I do for all members, whether you're a slight risker, moderate risker, or a high risk member of the channel. So make sure you take a look at that. But so we'll go ahead and hop into things really quick. Obviously, today is a day that we have been talking about. If you follow me on Twitter, I've been talking about it for almost a week and a half. And I was kind of raising the alarm bells because just from the synoptic setup, and we'll get into that, and Hunter's going to talk about that a little bit more when he breaks down models in more detail. But it's something that we have been concerned about for quite some time now, over a week. Typically, these big setups will typically show their ugly hand well ahead of time, and they don't change. And that's what we've seen from setups like today. We obviously had quite a few tornadoes yesterday. It's a lot of destruction still over in Missouri, Arkansas, Mississippi. Last night we had terrible storms that happened last night. So obviously, our thoughts and prayers still go out to those folks that were affected by that. But our attention is going to quickly turn to today, and it's setting up to be an extremely volatile day, a dangerous. I don't throw that out often, but it's a dangerous day for people that are living in Mississippi, Alabama, and southern Middle Tennessee, possibly even the western parts of Georgia as well overnight. As you can see right here, we've got the SPC, the SPC outlook for today. A very rare high risk has been placed over east central Mississippi all the way up into all the way over into Alabama as well. That does include Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, Meridian, Mississippi. I believe Columbus, Mississippi is included in that as well. So we're going to need to keep an eye on that, but don't get caught up so much in, well, this is the high risk. I'm not in the high risk. Should I not take today seriously just because I'm in the moderate risk, up in Chattanooga, Tennessee or something like that? That's not what we're saying at all. The high risk is where the main bullseye is for significant, violent, long track tornadoes. Your EF4 plus tornadoes. That is on the table today. That is on the table today. Normally we can't say that. Normally it's EF2 tornadoes plus. Today you could have violent, long track tornadoes. So don't get caught up in, well, I'm not in the high risk, I can let my guard down. That's not true. The chance for a violent, long track tornado does extend for, I would say, if you live in the state of Alabama today, you have the chance of seeing a long track violent tornado somewhere near you. So don't get caught up in that. But it is a very rare. It's only happened two other times where we have had a day two high risk out. So this has been out. They gave you plenty of lead time. We've been talking about this for a while. The SPC gave you plenty of lead time as well. So they've done a great job with this. It's only happened two other times, and both of those times before that were huge outbreaks. So they put the high risk out there. It cannot go any higher than this. That is the 5 out of 5 risk. So we'll take a look here. This is at the 8 o'clock update, so it came out about an hour and a half ago. But you can obviously see the high risk right here. Like I've already gone over the cities and things like that. But take a look at the tornado probabilities. That is a 30% chance of seeing a significant tornado within 25 miles of any location in that area. And while you think, well, 30%, that's not very high. Well, think about how big a tornado is. The biggest tornado in history is only 2.6 miles wide. Okay. So if you think about the numbers about that, that's actually a very, very high percentage. That's why we don't see this very often. We see a high risk. Sometimes we don't even see it in a year. We can go some years without seeing a high risk. So these are held for the big days. But so that just I can talk about that for a while. But that's kind of what we're looking at. I don't even have to look at CSU. I don't know have to look at that. So I did want to do that. We're going to break down models now and take a look at that. But I just wanted to let you guys know this is the location. This is the location. If you were anywhere, I would say anywhere in the threat area, if you were in Mississippi, Alabama, West West Georgia, or Southern Middle Tennessee, be extremely weather aware today. Don't say just because I'm not in the high risk, I don't have anything to worry about, because that's how we get in trouble. Because these storms that are going to pop up today, they're not going to run into the high risk and then be like, oh well, I'm not in the high risk anymore. I'm not going to produce a tornado. That's not how it works. These storms don't always abide by the rules. So let's go ahead and take a look at model data. So what we've got right here, let's go up to the brand new run of the 13Z run right here. So, and I do preface this with saying that models are models. It is not an exact fact. This is not what is going to happen. This just gives us an idea of what radar may look like as the day progresses. I say that because, thankfully, the models have downtrended a little bit. And I say that lightly because all it takes is for them to uptrend again. With these setups where the parameter spacing is so great and everything is perfect, all it takes is sometimes one limiting factor to happen to screw up everything. But if that limiting factor doesn't happen, that's where you get your historical setups. Because you just have you could have something perfect and something breaks it, and it just ruins everything. So I will say that models overnight, since we fell asleep, have downtrended a little bit. And for folks in Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, and Tennessee, that is a good thing. We hope today busts. I will gladly take every single person out there, every hater that is like, well, it's just going to bust anyway. Why do you fearmonger and stuff like that? Or why are you forecasting a big event? It's just not going to do anything. It's so easy to do that. It's so easy to say, well, it's just going to bust. But I hope that it does. I will gladly tell people that we made a mistake. Models are imperfect. I'm imperfect, and it didn't happen. I think you would be as well. I would be perfectly fine being wrong about today, and models are right now. And I'm not saying that there's not going to be tornadoes today. We'll go ahead and hop into models, and I'll show you. So this is right. This is right now on the HRRR. This is the 13Z run of the HRRR. This is showing this at 9 o'clock this morning. You can see a big time line back here. There have been tornadoes this morning in Louisiana. There have been tornadoes. They've had numerous tornado warnings this morning in Louisiana. But if you'll notice, this is your open warm sector. Where you don't see any storms here, there's a boundary to the north, pretty much right there. If you are south of that boundary, that is considered the quote unquote warm sector. And that is where we could have supercells fire up today that could be those long track, violent tornadoes. But we'll go ahead and progress this, and you'll be able to see. So this is at 10 o'clock. It's kind of hanging back. We still do not see any development. We're looking for anything east of this convective blob right here and south of these popcorn storms right here. This is considered your warm sector. So that's what we're looking at for supercell development. And you'll notice we're at 11 o'clock. We still have really no supercell development. Not to say there's not tornadoes. These storms back here in Louisiana that are part of this line, there could be tornadoes with that. And in fact, there likely will be tornadoes with that. But what we're watching once again is that warm sector. And right now, it's holding off. This is at noon, starting to see a little bit more development, but closer back to the line. We're not seeing anything well out in front into Alabama and eastern Mississippi, which is what we like to see. We don't want to see those. If we start to see those, that's when the risk increases exponentially. So we'll go out to 1 o'clock, and you can see right here, we're starting to get a little bit of prefrontals right there, as well as in the warm sector. But for the most part, we're not seeing any any isolated supercells. But if you look back here, this is not a complete squall line. These are actually supercells that are on the bottom part of that. So these would have potential to be your long violent tornadoes, long track violent tornadoes. But what we do like to see is that we're still at 1 o'clock and we're not seeing any development yet in that warm sector. Now, are models picking up on this and they're right all of a sudden, or are they wrong? Because we're going to do a comparison here in just a second that shows what it was showing just a few hours ago and what it's showing now. It's a very fine line, and you can see as we go out, you've got probably, what is that, confluence band probably out there that's lighting up, but still nothing really. I mean, you've got a couple cells that are out in front of the main boundary, but all this is considered, would be a very messy setup. And then we'll go out to what is 20Z? That's 3 o'clock this afternoon. Starting to see some warm sector development right here in central Alabama. So far, we've held off, but there are still storms that are going to be going like this one right here. That is a very prime environment. If that were a supercell that formed right there, that would be a prime environment. All these as well could be tornado warned. I would anticipate every single one of these storms probably being tornado warned as a part of that line. But you can continue to go out here, and if you notice, we're at 7 o'clock right now. We did not have one. We didn't really have one warm sector cell that fired up. According to this model, yes. But let's go back real quick and just show you how quickly things can change. So we'll just go back to when Hunter and I fell asleep last night. When we got done chasing, got to Columbus, Mississippi. We'll go back to like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and you guys tell me if you can spot the difference. So right now, this is what it's depicting. This would be at 10 o'clock. This will be at 10 o'clock this morning, which looks accurate. But what's the difference in this model run and the other model runs? I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. You've got prefrontal cells right there in the warm sector that just continue, and all of these right here could be tornado producers. So, and if I mean, if you go back even further, we'll go back to like 06Z, and we'll go out and you guys can see this. See all these cells right here that are by themselves, these isolated supercells. That would be your long track violent tornado chance, and they continue. So obviously, you can tell that models. I say they have downtrended, but we're not letting our guard down yet because they can easily. It's such a fine line. It is a double-edged sword between being a standard severe weather setup today to being something that possibly we talk about for decades. So I'm gonna take a pause and let my voice rest for a second. You can tell I'm a little bit hoarse from yesterday, but I'm gonna let Hunter break this down a little bit more. He's gonna get a little bit more into the nitty gritty kind of thing, and show exactly what the fail modes are. If maybe models are not necessarily picking up on things that may be right, and why we shouldn't trust this. If we should trust this, he's gonna point all that out. So I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna let Hunter take it from here. So go ahead, Hunter. I'm gonna take a break.
All righty. Hello, everyone. Today's going to be an interesting day to say the least, and to say that the forecast itself is complicated is an unbelievable understatement. Yesterday, we were looking at what seemed like a fairly slam dunk type of forecast, and there's a couple reasons for that. And so quickly, actually, I'm going to pull up something. This might be, if you're familiar with the Storm Predictions Mesoanalysis page. This is a great page we use all the time to look at real data in real time with a little bit of model enhancement to kind of give us an idea of what's going on. And I wanted to use this to kind of help explain kind of what's going on, what we're looking at today. Obviously, since the models last night, some things have changed, and those types of changes are going to lead to potential various outcomes that at this point we're unsure of. The only thing that I think, from my impression of just briefly looking over data this morning, is the likelihood of open warm sector supercells may have downtrended a little bit. But that being said, and something Brad had showed here looking at various models, it still showed a rather robust set of storms to the west along the approaching cold front. So this is the 13Z HER model that just freshly came out that Brad talked about. And notice, while we're not necessarily seeing robust supercells out ahead, we are still seeing plenty of Felicity tracks, type of supercells, more embedded supercells more to the north, with more clustering, semi-discrete supercells to the south. And the reason for that is the change in the overall low-level instability field as things stand. So we're going to look at 2-meter dew point, which is basically dew points at what we feel here at the ground, and we're going to see how that, if this wants to load here, how that has changed over the models.
Gotta love hotel internet, right?
I know, right? So let's do this here. I want to point this out because this is the number one thing that has changed over the last several model runs. So what we see here is, as of this morning, we see that there is much more of a northeast to southeast line where the cold front is approaching. We've got lots of storms all in here on this northern side, but notice how this line between higher dew points, the open warm sector, and drier, cooler behind the cold front. Notice how that boundary is from northeast to southwest. If we take a step back in time looking at previous models, what we're going to start to notice is the shape of this warm sector has changed a little bit. Previously, it was a little bit more north to south with time, and actually, let me step forward a couple of hours because I think it'll be a little more pronounced here. There we go. So as we see, this was a model run early in the morning on the 14th. Not that long ago, only 24 to 36 hours ago, and we were seeing while there was a northeast to southwest portion, much more of a north to south portion here. But as time has gone on with models, watch how this warm sector has become a little bit more slanted, less defined with north to south, but becoming more of just a line from northeast to southwest. What does that mean? This implies that the warm sector itself is going to be a little more squished than previous models had originally thought because there's a lot more convection on the cold side of this boundary, keeping things from being allowing to be lifted out. And the reason for that is if we go here to mesoanalysis, the thing that is pulling all this moisture and organizing all these storms is our flow aloft. And what we can see here is a big old long wave trough here of the United States. Our weather maker that was yesterday that helped produce all the tornadoes yesterday is now up here into the northern Midwest Great Lakes area with lots of flow pretty much all over the continental United States. We still see here that there is still stronger flow relegated out here to the west that has not ejected out. What we do additionally see is the subtropical jets. There's the polar and the subtropical jets. They're starting to separate a little bit. They're not as aligned and working together in unison, but kind of are spreading out and fanning apart, which means they're a little disjointed and not as organized. This jet was forecast to be this way, and it will continue to slide off to the southeast through the Gulf towards Florida. And this trough will then begin to develop a little bit more of a negatively tilted shape, which already at this point looks pretty beginning to do that negative tilt with maybe a short wave rounding the base here. But we can see here is there's extremes amount of lift being generated in the higher levels of the atmosphere. Basically, as we can see here, winds here out of like Arkansas, really high up in the atmosphere, out of the southwest. But then down here in Louisiana, they're almost due westerly. That type of spreading apart of the winds aloft basically rips the atmosphere open, and the atmosphere doesn't like that. It creates a vacuum, which induces lift, causing air to rise from the surface. So as you can see here in these purple contours here, this is a divergence, which means air is rapidly trying to fill the void that the atmosphere is causing by this spreading apart of the wind field. So this is why we have lots of storms being generated over the edge of the warm sector to the northwest across Arkansas, northern Louisiana, and parts of Mississippi. But notice one thing that would help us to produce more of a significant outbreak is we need this trough here to turn the wind field from this more westerly flow into this more southwesterly flow. What that'll do is allow for all of this convection to be whisked off to the north and east and out of the warm sector, out of the picture. But what's happened is we're maintaining more of a broad westerly flow. That is leading to more kind of sloppier convection, allowed to kind of persist a little closer to our warm sector, squishing things and not allowing it to develop further north. And even if this stuff flips out of the southwest, I still think the damage is more or less already done to the warm sector. We're pretty much already working with what we're going to get. And as this storm system comes through, and we're going to look at satellite here in a second, we'll see that there is still some interesting things to watch out for, but we're working with a slightly smaller, a little more muted, uh, more confined warm sector than we were previously looking at. So I'm going to pull up just some satellite here if you want to share anything while we're getting this loaded.
Yeah, I did want to mention like nothing has changed from what we thought modeling would be to right now. I don't think it really. I mean, much hasn't changed. It's still it's still right now. It's where do we go from here?
Mm-hmm.
Is does it happen where that warm sector gets pinched off a little bit, and or is it a wide open warm sector? And nothing has changed right now.
Right.
It's where do we go from here that could make the next probably what hour and a half, 2 hours to set the stage for the
Very
day
important.
are going to determine if this is going to be an historic event or if it's going to be your standard
Mm-hmm.
severe weather event that folks in Dixie Alley are used to, where you have tornadoes, but maybe a significant tornado here and there, but
Not
for the
that bad.
most part, yeah, it wouldn't be near as bad as what it is. So it's very critical the next couple of hours to see how this matures and how it works.
Exactly. So looking here at satellite, we can see our large weather maker. We've got a bit of a new low pressure center, which was forecast to develop out here, kind of in the more convective areas here. We see a nice cold front draped here, as we saw in the model land, more of this northeast to southwest type of facing front. Um, but additionally, while we have all this convection up here to the north, we do see, and as even just looking at this now from when I looked at it even 30 minutes ago, we are starting to see
Right.
this warm sector open up
Yep.
and starting to go northward. And this cloud cover is starting to dissipate as the sun is beginning to heat the ground, causing the air to get warmer and heavy cloud cover starting to kind of burn off, so to speak. I want to play a loop here because this is an important thing that I want to point out. Go ahead.
Is it to simplify it for folks? If the spot in central or southern Mississippi and in East Louisiana and western Alabama, if that cloud cover sticks around,
Absolutely.
that's just to put it simple.
Cloud cover is something, if you're looking to not have as bad of severe weather, you absolutely are loving as much cloud cover as you can possibly have.
How did you even do that?
I right clicked. Oopsies.
Oh.
Yeah. So if you're looking for a failure mode today, heavy cloud cover, hey, that would be a pretty decent failure mode. We see lots of deep moisture here, but I want to also pull up some soundings with you guys, but some real soundings, not model soundings,
Yep,
because we have balloon launches that we can look at that are extremely important for what we're dealing with today. So these are balloon launches that happened around 7 a.m. local time here in the southeast. And we're going to look at some soundings here. The first one I'm going to put up here is out of just north of New Orleans. And what do we see here? We see that there is a very deep moisture layer, even with the surface getting 71 with the temperature of 73, so very moist
Mhm.
profile here. But notice there is plenty of dry air aloft. And how do we know that is true? Well, notice this cloud cover is all low level cloud cover. So this is extremely clear. The sun is allowed to penetrate through to the ground as long as this low level cloud cover is not existing, heats it up really efficiently. So if looking for a severe weather aspect, that is a good sign that would support additional severe weather. The hodograph itself, large looping sickle shape hodograph, a lot of length that will encourage strongly deep layer shear for supercells, as well as strong low level turning, as we can see even in the effective inflow layer, 250 meters squared per second squared of SRH. And for tornadoes, we're generally looking for 150 plus, and 250 plus is where you start getting into the stronger tornado categories. And with it just being the morning, this is already an extremely potent profile for tornadoes. As Brad mentioned, there's already been tornadoes.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the day goes, like that number, like 375, like
400.
400 right there. So yeah, I mean, it's going to get silly with the shear. So
Yep.
I would anticipate that almost doubling the 250, getting close to 400, maybe even 500.
Yes. When this system really starts to get going, it is forecast that the low level jet, something many of you are familiar with, it is that high speed stream just above the ground that really enhances these low level hotographs. That is expected to increase throughout the day despite maybe changes in the overall orientation of the warm sector. But as we ping soundings here, we see lots of elevated instability. And even out of this Jackson sounding, we even see a more of a loaded gun type of sound where we actually have a little bit of capping here in the low levels just above the ground. above a nice, modestly deep moist layer, something more traditional to the plains. For the southeast, you see more situations like here out of Lake Charles, where we see a much deeper, more traditional Dixie-like warm sector. But seeing these a little bit of capping this morning is also the reason why there is no thunderstorms south of this complex that is being heavily forced by the overall system. In the open warm sector, we are not seeing any storms. So that being said, while we're worried about cloud cover being a failure mode of muting the event overall, like we talked about even yesterday, that the failure modes yesterday weren't necessarily going to kill the day, more of like make the day not, and that seems to be the trend as well today. I was hoping to
What's the internet? Because we're doing fine now.
there we go.
No, this to go green, and it should be fine. There we go. All right, we're back. All right, sorry about that, guys. I'm gonna go back here and make sure that you guys can see me. If you could just hit the comments and say that we're back. Do you guys see us now? Are we good? Okay. All right, we're back.
Hey, perfect.
Hey, I do see. By the way, I did want to mention this. We will look at chats and answer questions. That's why we're doing this a little bit earlier. Thank you guys for the super chats. Very much appreciative of you guys doing that. Thank you. That you guys make it where we can buy 5-hour energies for Hunter and me. So, okay. All right. So let's get back to talking about that. Hunter, pick up where you left off.
Yeah, let's
And
do
there we go.
this. So yeah, so the biggest thing that we're watching for is even with the her models kind of rough output this morning, and heck, even just looking at this one model, it's indicating it's more out of the southwest, but I don't think that's actually true. Um, just as things stand as we look here, yeah, that's pretty out of the west there, although out of the due south here. So lots of lift out here across
All right,
the
it's gonna
Delta
rip
region.
apart. Yeah.
Yeah, you're basically ripping a hole in the atmosphere, and the air has to fill the void. So lots of strong lift there. But basically, what we're talking about before the stream kind of got a little buffery is as this trough kind of slides in later this afternoon, we see those winds overall will shift predominantly out of the southwest, kicking all of this junk hopefully to the north, opening this warm sector, providing stronger shear, stronger support for the development of supercells, especially along that cold front, but also watching for the potential. I still think there is some potential, but I do think it's lower for more open warm sector supercells.
Yeah.
But that being said, the threat for the significant to violent tornadoes has not gone away.
Yeah.
It just means that these storms, Michael, will be a little bit more HP, a little bit more messy, harder to see, more dangerous for you if you live in these areas.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. Okay. Anything? I think that pretty much breaks it down. I mean, it's still
Complicated.
It's very very complicated. It wasn't complicated until the models decided to do a complete 180 within about 4 hours. So you guys can see how hard it is now to forecast events like this, and why meteorologists get gray hair very very fast. So yeah, we do have. Oh man,
Folks, we were looking at just
like
keeping
little
updated with the radar, and actually looks like there's a pretty significant storm already ongoing
Lake Providence,
near Lake Providence.
right on the Mississippi River.
Looks like a potentially strong tornado
Yeah.
is being
Is that
potentially. I'm not sure. Let me open this up here.
confirmed?
No, confirmed,
Confirmed
large and extremely dangerous tornado already approaching Mayersville, Mississippi. So, I mean, folks, like while we're talking about these complications, we're already starting the day with a large tornado crossing into Mississippi. So,
I believe I can add a source in here to show radar as well. Give me just a second, everybody. Here we go. Pull up radar. 1 second, everybody. Sorry. I'm pull up radar for everybody.
storms are in northeast at 41 knots.
Whew. Moving quick.
Wow, that's a strong tornado.
It is. It is. Give me a second, everybody. I'm trying to fix this, and we'll see if it works or not. Flip it around. Okay. Um, let's zoom it out. Okay. All right. So what we're looking at here, where was it at? Oh, Lake Providence.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Um, up here. Also, guys, this is Radar Omega. This is who we use in the field. So feel free to check them out. But this is their output. So let's go take a look at velocity. I had to smooth it for the
Mm-hmm.
viewers, but it should show it. It's messy right there. It's just a bad radar feed. But what's it showing on the radar scope? Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, north of Lake Providence, it looks a lot better than that. Um,
Potentially big time tornado there, just right there in the morning. You
yeah,
know.
not good. Considerable threat. Hmm. You don't want to see that. It's just a bad radar image right there. But yeah, north of get off my screen. Yeah, north of Lake Providence, heading into that area right there. So that's I mean that's what we're looking at. We've got multiple tornado warnings. There's
Mm-hmm.
another one near Monroe, Louisiana. I know one of my moderators, Chloe, is in Monroe, so she's probably taking shelter right now. It looks like it's coming. Well, it just looks like it expired. So
Good news.
that's good news. I'm going to switch back.
So a pretty eventful day.
Yeah, agreed. I'm going to switch back to Chrome if I can. There we go. Okay, there we go, folks. Let's see here. Transform, fit to screen. I think that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to spend a little bit of time looking at your questions. If you do have any questions, I'm not going to be able to scroll back and see everything, but if you do have any questions, um, please ask them now. We'll do this for probably what 10 minutes.
Yeah.
We'll give it 10 minutes, and then we got to hit the road because we got to get in position for today. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask, and we'll do our best. I'm going to try to reply to some text messages as well while those come in.
Mm-hmm. Let's see here.
Did you see anything up top or I was asking? Yeah, there is, but I can't explain how to do that right now. There is a way to change colors though. Use color table.
Um, any questions? Anyone kind of in the area?
Somebody did say after last night seemingly overperforming, I worry about today. Over here in western Georgia, it looks worse for us on every update. It could in western Georgia overnight, mainly in the evening and overnight hours. Um, it definitely could. Now, I think that the main threat is probably going to be to your west.
Yes, I would also agree.
But yeah, overnight, definitely don't let your guard down on that. Let's see, Monroe.
Could today go 45 Sigtor? In my opinion, I don't think it should.
Not
I
now.
think, yeah,
Not now.
with how things look, how uncertain the storm mode is overall, I think 30% for the high risk is plenty
Mm-hmm.
sufficient. I would hope that they do move it potentially a little south, but we'll see how the warm sector improves over the day because it may end up actually being pretty perfect. Just depends on how the storms kind of organize throughout the day today.
Yeah, I agree. I don't see a reason for a 45 right now, just because you don't want to put the 45 risk for significant tornadoes, unless it is an absolute slam dunk. And right now we do have uncertainty. Where did you learn your stuff? I've been chasing and trying to learn meteorology and different forms of weather for uh, since 2010. So it's kind of just been learning on the fly, reading a lot of books, asking a lot of people that are knowledgeable and have bigger brains than I do. So that's how I did. I ask a lot of questions. I tried. No, there's no such thing as a stupid question when you don't know anything about it, a certain subject. So just finding out as much as I could. Self-taught, a lot of books, a lot of courses, things like that. But
Yeah.
and then you.
I mean, I did the traditional 4-year schooling, got my bachelor's degree in meteorology, but
He's educated, folks.
yeah, but but I've been chasing for a long time. This is, I believe, my 16th year of chasing storms, and I started really young with my family. And Meteorology is very much the field where you just need to get your hands dirty.
Yep.
But experience comes from using what you know. And even if you don't learn, you feel like you know all that much, take what you have and get your hands dirty, get in the details, start learning, start trying to make a forecast and understand how the atmosphere behaves. Look back at past examples, read lots of books, watch YouTube videos, go get higher education if that's your desire as well. There's so much resources out there.
Yeah, good question. Do you believe that today will be a lot like yesterday, same intensity or worse? It's hard to answer that right now.
Yeah,
It,
I think the ceiling of having those higher end violent tornadoes, I think, is definitely there. So that would
yes,
technically
yes,
encourage potentially even worse than yesterday because we don't know the intensity of those tornadoes.
yeah,
That's what the National Weather Service will find out at a later time. But the more issue is we'll probably have just more tornadoes down here in the southeast than we did yesterday. Last night we had a pretty prolific tornado producing
super,
storm
super
for all across central Mississippi that we chased last night that produced possibly up to 10, maybe more tornadoes. We saw six of them, but you never know how many tornadoes that thing produced because of the heavy treed areas and rough roads. It made it hard to kind of stay on it all the time. But, that was just one storm, folks.
Yep.
If you have five of those
Yeah,
that go
that's a
from
good point.
state to state,
And
you're looking tons of
it's
tornadoes.
a good point. It's a good point you make. It was one storm, and that's all it takes, guys. I know that April 27th is a day that gets brought up because of just the sheer amount of tornadoes. All it takes is one significant or violent tornado to hit your house, and that's your April 27th. So just keep that in mind. Yes, April 27th, the sheer volume, the better chances, yes. But if a tornado hits your house today, it doesn't matter if that's the only tornado that there is today. You're
Who
good
cares?
luck. Good
Yeah,
luck answering somebody on social media saying today's a
just
bust when
one.
you don't have a house.
Right. It all takes is
So,
one tornado.
yep.
That's all that matters.
Let's see. Where will we be heading?
West.
That is TBD right now. I initially thought we were going to wake up and go down to Meridian area and get on I-20, but
We might just have to just haul straight back west to I-55. So,
maybe, maybe.
well,
Um,
that'll be a game time decision once we kind of get the
we
straight
may
amount.
need to go to North Alabama. May need to go to North Alabama. Who knows? Because there are going to be tornadoes all throughout the state.
Just got here.
Yeah. What are we chasing in today? We are in a Subaru Accent or Ascent.
Ascent.
Ascent. Subaru Ascent in a rental car today. The Forerunner, she took a little bit of damage last chase. Guy rear-ended me on the highway, but we're not going to get into that one.
Subaru did great with the tornadoes yesterday.
Really good.
It helped. It was nice.
We broke her in, and she did really well. Let's see here. Southern Mississippi, Brookhaven in the path. Yep, Brookhaven, right on I-55 right there. Very, very aware of that area. It'll be earlier on in the day for you guys, so it's not going to be 1 o'clock in the morning when you're still under tornado warnings and stuff like that. It's going to get through there for you, but yeah, definitely in the path of that. I would say, just to kind of go away from asking, hey, is Coleman, Alabama going to get hit today? Hey, is Huntsville, Alabama? Hey, is Birmingham? Just know that if you live in the state of Alabama or Mississippi, you have the chance of seeing a violent tornado today.
Yep.
Let's just say that.
Yep.
Even all the way up into central middle Tennessee, depending on how high that boundary goes. Let's see where we guys were heading. House Montgomery, Alabama. Just answered that. What will Tallahassee see today? I actually haven't looked too much at the Panhandle. You want to look at that real quick?
Yeah, I can take a quick look at it. I'm inclined to believe that a lot of this activity will go more north.
Yes.
But it'll depend kind of how the atmosphere recovers overall. But I think the overall most significant tornado threat will be to your northwest. But that being said, the time when these storms get to you will be overnight. That's a lot of time between now and then for things to kind of work their way through. I wouldn't say there isn't a tornado threat. I'd say just be weather aware.
Yeah, 100%. Let's see. We got a question that says, "We got cloudy in Tuscaloosa. Does that mean we dodged a major bullet?" No.
No.
Now, if it's
Gosh,
cloudy,
no.
if it's cloudy at what 3 p.m., 4 p.m.,
Then maybe I'm a little concerned.
maybe. But even then, with the cold front as it moves through, you're still gonna have chance for tornadoes. So, if it stays cloudy for longer, could it lessen the threat for being an historical tornado outbreak? Yes, 100%. But it's not going to be like, well, we got cloud cover. It's not going to be bad at our house. You can't say that.
Yep.
How is Tennessee looking? Tennessee, it depends on where in Tennessee you're at. If you're in northwest Tennessee, you're probably doing all right. But Central Tennessee, Nashville South, and over into Chattanooga and that area up in the mountains. Um, Definitely be a weather aware today. Um, Somebody saying about the MD. So take a look at that mesoscale discussion. I didn't know they had one out. Um,
Yeah, let's take a look at it.
yeah, we're going to take a look at the
MDs.
mesoscale discussion right now. Particularly dangerous situation. Tornado watch will be issued soon. Tornado outbreak likely. And that will go over into Alabama, but oh, you can already see the breaks in the clouds right here.
Notice also that the Storm Prediction Center feels extremely confident on calling for tornado intensities reaching into that EF4, high EF4 range, as well as this warm sector. They are saying that even areas up to Tupelo that are in heavy cloud cover
Good.
are still in a significant tornado threat today. So just keep that in mind. Just because you have cloud cover does not mean the tornado threat is over for you.
There you go. We just explained this. Confluence bands across Louisiana this morning likely represent the initial supercell initiation zone for the storms of greatest concern this afternoon. So if you were on earlier when we were talking about the confluence bands, I think I mentioned that, and Hunter talked about it a little bit. That is going to be our spot. So we are probably going to head south a little bit. I would think west, southwest.
Yeah, something like that.
And we will follow those, but it's not going to. It's
basically.
Oh God, it's lighting up.
Yeah, so we're basically looking to because we're up here, you know, and
We're going to have to get southwest.
Yeah, I was thinking get to 55, and then probably we'll have a lot more options there.
I don't want to go too far west though. Anyway, we can discuss that.
Details.
But yeah, we're just looked at radar, and we're going to have to get going pretty quick. So, going to answer a few more questions. We'll stay for about 2-3 more minutes.
Let's see.
PDS tornado watch incoming for Alabama, Mississippi. Yes, guaranteed. Both of them. There will be a PDS tornado watch for both. Did I miss anything up here? RIP. No, the Forerunner will be fine. We'll get it back. Just in the repair shop. Cincinnati, that we're quiet.
I'm loud and obnoxious. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here.
Chad, are we quiet at all? Do we need to talk up a little more? How are we doing?
Everybody else seems to be
able
to hear it. It's impossible to know. I think that we'll start to see the clouds start to thin out. But if I were to be able to tell the future, I would go try to win the lottery.
Yeah.
It's.
We already have a.
I hope not.
Yeah.
I hope not.
Yeah.
That's extremely strong wording. Yeah.
Extremely.
They're very concerned about this, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. I'm not sure. Let's see. An hour north of Chattanooga. Yeah, you guys are right. You guys are right on the area, the threat area. I would definitely be weather aware if you're anywhere in central Tennessee. Thought this was for members only. It is. But today there was a reason we did this. We're doing this out of safety for everyone. We want to get that word out there to as many people as possible, to break this down so that way you guys can be as weather aware as possible today. This we will only do this for huge outbreaks. It is only members only. So if you do want to see these going forward in the future, you will need to be a member. But we did want to do this for everyone today. After we did get members' approval to do that. Obviously, they're paying members for that, so they were. Let's give it up for the members because they're the ones that made this happen. Because if not, we would have done a member stream. So if you like seeing us right here, become a member, and also thank the members that they were willing to share us to the general public today. So is North Alabama out? No, God, no, Chad.
No.
Do not. Yeah, no.
No.
Anywhere in Alabama, or Mississippi, Central Tennessee, Western Georgia, is not out of anything. And as I'm talking, the sun is popping out. You can see the right behind us. We're still in the hotel.
Question: Can cloud cover prevent low-level moisture from mixing with drier at higher altitudes, thereby increasing the danger? Partially true. Yes, cloud cover. What that does is stop the sun from heating the ground, which then will heat the air. That's kind of how our world works and how the atmosphere kind of warms. And if there's cloud cover, you get less heating, less mixing overall. But because the system overall is really strong, there's really strong winds, you'll likely mix regardless. But today I am not worried about mixing of moisture at all due to the depth. Like we looked at soundings. There we're
Yeah.
looking at deep moisture, rich deep moisture of over, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 feet deep into the sky. That's not going to mix easily
We normally don't deal with any mixing issues here.
down here, not at all.
Normally not. That's but the plains
Absolutely.
you see a lot of mixing issues there, and that could be something. I'm not. That would be the least of my worries today. Montgomery, Alabama. I just talked about that. Anywhere in the state.
Speaking of which, here's your next NATO cast.
That's what I said. Like
Yeah.
maybe north.
Mm-hmm.
New tornado warning. It's extending all the way to Greenwood. Is it coming to us
Yeah, that's why I was saying like maybe we just need to go straight west
on
because
82?
yeah, just basically to 55.
Yeah, guys. If I'm gonna look one more time, see if you get any questions. Stay safe. It is going to be a longer stream today. It's going to be a long event. We're going to go into the overnight hours more than likely again. So be weather aware today. Um, if you have family, if you have loved ones, friends in the threat area, please let them know. We are praying and hopefully that this busts. Seriously, we love I love storms.
Yes.
As a storm chaser, I want to see the most extreme type storms. Today is a day that I hope there are very minimal tornadoes. I hope that tomorrow I'm having to get roasted on Twitter because we messed up a forecast. I will gladly take that over a
Yeah. Today's
huge,
gonna be a day, guys. Today's gonna be a day.
huge tornado north of Lake Providence.
PDS.
Yep, headed
So
headed towards Greenwood. We were there yesterday, taking that same path.
yep. So we're probably gonna need to get
Yeah, we're gonna
wrapped up and get out of here,
we're
guys.
gonna get out. Yeah, well, I'll start the stream here probably in the next hour. So be on the lookout for that. I'm going to schedule the main stream for everybody in an hour. We're probably gonna go about 11:30 noon. So be checking for that. But yeah, we're gonna